Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and man, I'm gonna be real. I think Bungie's kind of cooked with this one. What happens when a big billion-dollar company basically steals assets from a singular lone artist without permission? Okay, do you think that should be a crime? Do you think that should be cause for us to be a little mad at the company? I think so. Okay. So remember, today we're looking at an alleged plagiarism case. And I have to say alleged for legal reasons here, because it is actually alleged. Yesterday, an artist came out, an artist by the name of Anti-Real, ended up basically throwing shots at Bungie. Now, Bungie recently produced Marathon, and there's an alpha of the game that came out, and a bunch of streamers were playing it. Now, I didn't get into it, but I did see a couple of my favorite streamers, my favorite YouTubers who play first-person shooter games, like Jack Frags, show what Marathon looked like. Now, this is gameplay of Marathon, and to be honest, it doesn't look that exciting to me. It looks like a generic shooter with the extraction mix formed into it. But then again, I'm not here to review the game, okay? You know, at the end of the day, this game could be a banger. It could be a generic shooter. You might play the other litany of extraction shooters that are also on their way out, okay? Arc Raiders. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, one thing that was interesting about this game that I think nobody could disagree with was the art style was kind of cool and unique. It's this pastelish, interesting, sort of like, not original Marathon, but like this new Marathon. It kind of looked cool. It kind of looked interesting. Well, one artist comes out and basically points shots. So Anti-Real said this Marathon Alpha recently released and its environments are covered with assets lifted from a poster design I made in 2017. Now 2017 is a long time ago, all right, comparatively speaking. So let's look at some of these comparisons, all right? So for instance, one of the poster that Anti-Real shows is this one right here. Now before we go into it, you might be wondering, Muta, how do we confirm this is real? Well, Anti-Real has provided URLs of these posters and their original postings. So for this one poster right over here, it may be hard for you to read, but if we type that URL into the browser, so to speak, we can just view this for ourselves. So here's Anti-Real's account, and this post was made back in July 15, 2017. This is provable by the actual post date on the actual social media service which he used. So this right here is an actual high-resolution asset design, Aleph, dark space, haulage logistics. Now, if we go back to the accusation, that Aleph, dark space, haulage logistics was conveniently copied onto like all of these fucking guns, all of these actual like assets here. Like it's blatant. I mean, Aleph, the line, dark space, haulage logistics, not D space, dark space, haulage logistics. I mean, that alone is pretty bad. But it gets worse. There's more. So for instance, these two arrows right over here that you can see pointing downwards were seen numerous times in the alpha footage for Marathon pointing upwards. Now that alone isn't the greatest sin in the world, but you can see how close those arrows look. I mean, it looks how the art people say traced. You know what I mean? It looks very traced, if you will. I think what's also damning is this, row of symbols. Now, if you look closely at the row of symbols over here, the hammer, this little explosion, you can see that it's copied shot for shot into the fucking game. I mean, they did not even, whoever plagiarized this at Bungie did not even move the order around of these like 7 symbols. They just straight yoinked that shit right over. Now, I think that's pretty bad, but I think where it gets even worse too is right here. So you can see like the number 28. Well, that gets copied right here into Bungie software. In fact, not even the number 28. If you look closely and zoom in, you can even see that this black square with the words written in was also copied over pretty blatantly. I mean, I don't know at this point if it's the artist tracing it or if it's like actually just straight like Control C and Control V. Okay, at this point, if they used AI art, it probably would have been less like brand damaging than what the fuck we're seeing here. Now, of course, Anti-Real goes across and says, Bungie is, of course, not obligated to hire me. That's true. Nobody's obligated to hire you. But when you're making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I refined for the last decade, clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas. I think pillaging is doing light work, buddy. I think it really does look very traced, okay? So, again, this is one person against a large company, and they're like, I don't have the resources nor the energy to spare to pursue this legally, but I have lost count of the number of times a major company has deemed it easier to pay a designer to imitate or steal my work than to write me an email. Which is such a shame, because if they had paid this guy, if they just paid the community, look, man, that would have been amazing. That would have been great. And honestly, look, you might not be able to take it legally, and there's a big problem there, because yes, legal cases can be expensive, and going up against a company with the size and resources of Bungie, basically PlayStation at this point, is almost like the biggest uphill battle. But I don't think the community would be against crowdfunding something like this. But to move on forward into this, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the first time that Bungie has done this, okay? But the guys over at Bungie did respond, so the Marathon dev team was like, we immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie artist, including those in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in the game. Bro, former Bungie artist is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, okay? This is insane. Like, the fact that it seems like the entirety of the game's DNA, like the visual DNA, was effectively aped from this one person, seems like it wasn't just a former Bungie artist, okay? This was a lot more sinister than I think this is. This is like a safe face type of message, okay? But anyways, the issue was unknown by our existing art team, and we're still reviewing how this oversight occurred. We take matters like this very seriously. So they reached out to Anti-Real to discuss the issue, and they're committed to do right by the artist. And the thing is, obviously, this is the only response that you can expect a company to make. But here's the thing, right? If this was just a one-time plagiarism issue, I could kind of believe it. But this isn't the first time that it's happened at Bungie. This is actually the fourth time that this is now being alleged of actual art theft. Okay, so let's go down the yellow brick road. Okay, the fucking golden trail of Bungie plagiarism art theft. So back in 2021, about 4 years ago, one of the posts on r/Destiny the game came out and said Bungie accidentally used somebody's fan art of Xivu Arath in the new Witch Queen trailer. So, again, if you look very carefully, if, you know, in comparison to any of this, Cosmo, one of the principal community managers at Bungie, was like, there's a mix-up when creating this post. The Relay 314's art was accidentally used, okay? So they reached out and got permission to use their work. But let's look carefully at Relay's art real quick, right? So, for instance, if you look at Relay's actual posting, you can see that this is from 2020, all right? So, you know, before Bungie had, you know, used any of this is what their art kind of looked like, okay? So this was what they drew. Now let's look at what Bungie's trailer actually looked like, okay? So one clip from Bungie's trailer looks like this. Now, again, to go back to Anti-Real, right? It's kind of shocking that, like, you know, it doesn't really seem like we use the words alleged here for legal reasons, but on a personal opinion, my personal opinion, when I look at Marathon's in-game assets and what Anti-Real had posted, things looked basically traced. Control-C, Control-V, at least from a personal perspective. So when I look at this one, you know, image from the trailer, which I believe is now removed, you can see that this is what apparently was posted on Bungie's end. And of course, comparing it to Zyron, okay, this is what he had posted. So again, putting them left to right, it almost just seems completely fucking crazed at this point. And if you try to look for that one specific video, you'll get the video isn't available anymore. So, I mean, what the fuck? You know, what are we doing here? So that was just one example, right? Now, for a company like Bungie that literally was like, we take all of this seriously, I don't think you're taking it seriously enough. So then, in June 2023, another issue kind of arose, okay? So let's look at the other issue right over here. So 2 years ago, one post right over here, I just realized Bungie took inspiration from my piece for this week's cutscene. Certainly took me by surprise when I watched the cutscene. So these two images, if you're looking very carefully, looks downright fucking traced, okay? So for instance, this one user, okay, posts on the Veil of Darkness, so this is literally on Bungie.net, this image right over here. So again, you look very carefully, you can see that you've got this, triangular structure over here. You've got these triangles. You've got like this character. You've got this, ball in the middle. I don't know all my Destiny lore, to be real with you. It's been kind of a long time since I played it, and we'll actually get to why just a bit later. You can see like all of this is this artist. But then if you look at the actual art that Bungie had posted, whoa, that looks suspiciously close. Like, I mean, bro, the lines on the top of the building structure over here, I mean, that looks like, I'm not an art expert, but holy shit, that looks basically as traced as you possibly can put it, right? Now, obviously, there might be some subtle differences between this art piece, but I think generally, if you were to go to a court and argue plagiarism, for instance, you may just straight up believe to yourself that maybe it's a little more inspired than it should have been, right? I mean, the thing is, if you're going to be this heavily inspired, I think it's totally reasonable to expect to credit the artist and even pay them money. You're a very massively rich, this is not an indie company doing this with its fan, or at least asking for consent. This is just them going, looks cool. It seems like they're allegedly looking at him like, all right, yoink, yoink, yoink. At least that's what it allegedly looks like. So to go forward, one of the most egregious pieces was what we're about to see now. Okay, so this is the third point of alleged plagiarism, just before this anti-real stuff, okay? And again, if you read what Bungie had said, we take it very fucking seriously. I don't think they take it nearly seriously enough. So for instance, this is a project that Bungie had released, right? So the Nerf gun, for instance. Now, this is a, I believe, collaboration they did with the fellows over at Nerf. So you can see like the Nerf logo right here. It's Nerf or nothing. You can see that this is like Kate 6's like hand cannon. So look at the lines on the barrel. Look at the design everywhere. Just everything in general. I mean, even this upside down heart, for instance. Well, they were alleged by another user over here, Tofu Bunny, goes, so the Nerf Ace of Spades directly lifts a commission I did in 2015, bro. We're going all the way back to 2015. Oh my God, I think 2015 was when I first uploaded the first deep web browsing series. It's a long time ago. So to show you the point of comparisons, they have 9 right over here. For instance, the upside down heart. I mean, even the off-center circle in the heart seems to be allegedly grabbed. I mean, that is not good. You got like down over here, 11. 11 is just egregious. I mean, even the fucking like minor scrapes on the squares right here seem to be lifted, okay? I mean, it's gross. It's gross. So you go up over here, you can see like, on 4 and 5, I mean, this is maybe slightly more different. I mean, 4 maybe, but like, God damn it. No, actually 4 doesn't look that different. 4 just looks like, they kind of like changed the direction of this a little bit, like the actual, where the lines are going. But the scrapes are the dead giveaway. The scrapes look like they're just, I mean, you can't even change that a little bit. I mean, Jesus Christ. And of course, like, aside from like the Nerf over here, everything just looks so shot for shot the same. And of course, like, obviously, I don't think Bungie was going to sit down and say, yeah, no, that doesn't look anywhere close to, because they did end up having to compensate the artist for that blaster art right there. And you know what? It's not even just like this. Like, this is all just social media, like, hoopla that's raised. Bungie's currently going through an actual lawsuit at the moment. So, for instance, back in, 2024, Bungie was accused of plagiarizing its Red War storyline. So to understand this real quickly, Bungie does something in Destiny called content vaulting, okay? So if you don't know what content vaulting is, basically Bungie releases these games and they just take out content down the road, and I guess their claim is it optimizes and kills the size of the game and keeps it manageable. But basically, if you play Destiny 2 at launch, and I did, there's going to be a lot of Destiny 2 that's just not available anymore. In fact, like 2 weeks ago, I loaded into the game, And I deleted it immediately after when I was completely like blown away. Like, where do I even begin? What do I do? The game like immediately logs in a new player, like a returning player, and throws them into like an entire campaign event. Like, bro, I need to get my bearings first. And the more you try to get your bearings, the more you realize this is not the same game you stopped playing like a year ago, 2 years ago. Things change. And this is biting Bungie on the ass a little bit because one of the campaigns, the Red War, was actually, I believe, removed from the game. So effectively what happened over here was one writer came out and basically threw a lawsuit, a plagiarism lawsuit at Bungie. So the person who issued this, pen name Casper Cole, real name Matthew Martineau, said that, they were alleging the Red War campaign was actually plagiarizing the work that he had done on WordPress posted publicly in 2017. So they provided samples of his work and Destiny 2's work, and they allege that there's a lot of similarity between them. Now, obviously, Bungie tried to get this dismissed in court, and one of their counters to this lawsuit was, I'm not joking with you, finding videos on YouTube and using them as evidence of them not being, plagiarized. So basically what they did was they went on YouTube, they were like, all right, Red War campaign storyline, like they found somebody narrating the whole thing, long play footage, everything they could. And obviously this was a big problem because Bungie could have just dug into their game and showed this if they hadn't vaulted it out of the actual game and taken it out entirely. And currently, the status of this lawsuit effectively ends with it being kind of uncertain because, if Destiny 2 had this content still in the game to begin with, it wouldn't have caused, this whole situation to still be an ongoing problem for Destiny, for Bungie. So again, a U.S. federal judge has ruled that the lawsuit should continue as Bungie has been unable to provide satisfactory evidence to have the case tossed out. The YouTuber videos were not enough, clearly. The evidence could have been a working copy of Destiny 2 featuring the game's original story campaign, but this, alongside many other older parts of the game, are just no longer playable, having been excised and relegated to Bungie's content vault. So according to Judge Susie Morgan, defendant has admitted it cannot produce the entirety of the relevant form of Destiny 2 for the court's review, revealing that the developer has instead been forced to provide YouTube videos and pages from a fan wiki, Destinypedia, as evidence instead. So the defendant admits in its reply, which is Bungie, there is no feasible way for defendant to provide a court with a reviewable form of Red War or Osiris campaigns or to produce them should the matter proceed to discovery, which it seems like it probably can, considering this trial is not, like the motion to dismiss is not being thrown in. But yeah, it's pretty fucked up, ladies and gentlemen, how this situation has kind of evolved. Like, it would be one thing if, Bungie had looked at Anti-Real's work and some rogue artist copied it. But given everything that we've kind of seen here in all of the other examples, I'm wondering if this isn't just a problematic culture at fucking Bungie versus like one rogue developer. Because I really feel like, look, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 100 times. I'm just the idiot walking around, okay? That's pretty much how I kind of look at it. And to be honest, a game like Marathon wasn't even that exciting to begin with, at least personally. But I think if there was ever a cause to boycott a game and not give Bungie the time of day for not just Marathon, but really any of their other projects, it would be situations like this. You can't be a big company and basically fucking fist the smaller guy like this without actually having some form of like backlash about it, okay? And I feel like this is not some small thing. Again, if Anti-Real didn't come out, if Anti-Real did not get his post to have traction, if people weren't sharing it around, if videos like this that I'm doing right now weren't being made, Bungie would have probably gotten through this without ever having an issue. Imagine having the entirety of your games, the one unique thing that you have visually, be what is completely stolen. And I don't know if Bungie's gonna like change it. Like, Bungie should probably pay this person out. But if I was Anti-Real, I honest to God don't even know if I would give Bungie the permission to use my fucking stuff. After they've not just done this to Anti-Real, but allegedly it seems like they've done this to other artists as well too. It just seems like whoever is working in the art direction, and again, I don't think it's just one rogue employee. I think at some point, if you're goddamn the director of art, if you're like a director of this division, somebody from Sony or PlayStation or legal might have to come down and just actually see how you do your job, because clearly you don't do it well enough. But yeah, it's fucked up, man. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.